Bismillah. Assalamualaikum everyone. So this has been going for a while. I just thought we should do something about this, given that there's a lot of chatter. Where's the next CST episode? And the first one was quite an interesting thing that people. Sorry, I'm not too sure if this is just a joke or if people are actually interested, but I thought that let's pick it back up because I don't know what happened with the previous host or the next guest. And I guess I should have thought before I actually nominated someone else. So, well, the plan is to just pick this back up where we left off. Carry it so we can bring you something new, something else to the table, a new format perhaps, and just to have a chat with our fellow Chai Shai members. Now, there's no way I was going to do this alone, and you keep hearing me say we. So, uh, I do have a surprise, as I will be co-hosting this with none other than, hopefully everything else goes well. Here we go,
There,
Zishan, all the way down from Texas.
yes.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm good though, man. How you doing?
Feel like just yesterday you left, man.
It was, I mean, it was a few months now. Um,
Yeah.
this new job of managing Chai Shy and keeping everyone in line
Yeah, and
has
being a
been
ruthless
challenging.
leader, bro.
Listen, you gotta keep people in order. I mean, otherwise if you give them too much ability, they just go wild, and some of them just
Yeah.
don't even respond or don't
Yeah,
make
you just
CST
mute
episodes.
them out, right? Or
Yeah.
you know what's so much power in Telegram, man? Because obviously WhatsApp didn't allow me to do that. Yet people call me the the bad guy, right? He's like, oh, this guy is a dictator, this and that, right? But yeah, man,
Mm,
happy to see you. Thanks again for bringing this back onto the table, bro.
yeah.
Because
I'm excited. I'm excited. I guess we'll give everyone a little introduction what we're planning to do going forward, or if this takes off, whatever. Essentially, what we really want to do is have a chat with fellow Chai Chai members. If there's anything that you want to talk about,
yeah.
let's
I think there's
discuss
a
it.
bit of a choppiness in your audio, so I hope
Okay.
it kind of fixes itself. But
Sure, sure,
yeah,
sure.
no, yeah, absolutely, I agree, man. The plan is to just have a chat, right? And we are changing the format a little bit. We're gonna keep it very open-ended, right, Dishan? We're not
Yes,
really tying ourselves down to a template or anything, but
right.
yeah. So, do you want to get into our esteemed
Yeah,
guest?
sure. So for our first episode of this continuation series, whatever it is, I don't think anyone would have expected this next guest. So without further ado, your fearless leader has brought upon. Please introduce yourselves or yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Assalamualaikum everyone.
Alrighty.
How's it
So,
going?
Faraz
Good man.
Iqbal, the silent member, or should we call you Mr. Triple X, if that's the right thing?
I go by many names, but yes, that's one of them.
Thanks again for joining us, man. We understand, you're a busy guy, right? You got places to be, things to do. But yeah, as you know, we gave you a brief overview, right? We're just trying to just have a conversation, and yeah, just to get each other, and that's why we like. I know I was picked first and everything, but we just wanted to make sure that we bring somebody else, someone we don't hear from often, right? And Zishan would agree, right? There's a lot of stories to tell here.
Yeah, I mean, for us, I've known Faraz guys since I was 1 year old, right? So it's been 30 years now. I've known Faraz. He has a big chunk of my life. We didn't know each other. He entered our friend circle. He's in Chai Chai. We don't hear from him. Um, I'm sure there's reasons. We can touch upon that. He's busy. He has probably 500 other chats. He's a busy guy to get a hold of. LeBron James,
Yeah.
goes by many names. Alfie C, Triple X, Faraz.
LeBron
Who knows
James, right?
what
Like I
else?
don't know, man. Like
Yeah.
so many names. Yeah.
So I mean, we thought let's have a chat with Faraz first. Let's get what's going on in his head, what's going on in his mind, um, and
Yeah.
that would share stuff as well.
Yeah.
But I think
I was wondering
this,
if
yeah,
there's anything interesting we can talk about, like the Interesting Humans podcast. Wow. Honestly, man, that was so for some of you, we'll share this. So Faraz was recently on a podcast. It's called the Interesting Humans Podcast. And I'll tell you, it's true to its name. I'm not gonna, preach to the choir. I'm not gonna repeat everything else, but I highly recommend, and inshallah, we'll share the links with you guys as well. I highly recommend you listen to it because personally, I would say I learned a lot about Faraz, right? And like I said, we're not going to repeat it, but we may just touch up on a few things, right, guys? But, given Faraz permission, I mean, it's on the public anyway, but still, I'd love to share that. And it's a little bit dense. It gets a little deep as well. But I definitely recommend that you guys listen to it because it's something, it gives you, it paints a different picture for something that you may not be aware of, right? And yeah, I mean, for us, let's just touch up on that a little bit. Like, how did that come about to be? Did you just happen to, I mean, obviously he's an all-star, right? Like Mr. Triple X, LeBron James, right? So, just give just a little overview on that, please.
Absolutely, yeah. So it's basically a podcast one of my friends was doing, and she kind of asked me to just hop on, and talk about myself. She kind of knew me on a personal level, so she knows
Mm,
all these stories that I've shared on the podcast. So it was one of those things that was just a spontaneous decision. I didn't decide overnight to just go out there and air everything out and talk about everything.
yeah,
It's just one of those things. I made a spontaneous decision and I went along with it. And, it's one of the best decisions I made to open up on that personal level and to kind of show your vulnerabilities to the world
yeah.
from that aspect.
Yeah, man, it's like I don't know, Zishan, please feel free to chime in here because I was like, we joke around or even in our inner circles with our friends and even maybe a few people, like we kind of, how do you say, expose ourselves, right? Make ourselves vulnerable.
Right. Yes. Yep.
But that on that level, right? When I was listening, I swear, man, I could not stop it. I could not like I had it like I was doing stuff. I
Yes.
had errands on. I was,
Exactly.
but I
Yeah.
could not put it down. I'm like, I told my wife too. I'm like, listen, I can't put this down. There's things that are coming up here that I just feel like I should have known, or at least it would be nice to know because. And again, guys, I don't want to spoil it, right? But there's some really interesting stuff Faraz gets into that that we don't know. Like at least I didn't. So, I
Right.
mean, I don't know. Faraz, obviously, sorry, Zishan, obviously, these guys go way back, so I'm sure he knew to some extent. But I would think that even you, Zishan, some of the depths that, were explored in this, I don't think that was, I'm not too sure if you knew.
No. 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 Exactly. And I mean, I'll just give everyone a quick teaser of some of the things that are covered in there. But talks about um, for us landing in Canada. That's one. I mean, what was that like? What has his
By
journey been
himself,
like? Going,
that
yes,
experience by
by
himself,
himself.
yeah.
Yep. He came. I mean, first he came with his family, then he came back.
Yeah.
Officially with by himself, living alone.
Yeah.
What was that like? Some of his like medical kind of journey. What some of the things he discovered about
Yeah.
himself and um, unexpected things that have happened in his life.
Yeah.
Um,
Things he's found
and
about himself. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's a really good listen.
Highly
We'll
recommended.
post
Yeah.
the link for you guys to check it out. But we want, I mean, let's touch upon. I mean, one of the topics on there for now. I mean, for us, I mean, if there's something you want to bring up,
Yeah.
let's explore that a little bit.
Sure, yeah. I mean, we talked a bunch of things on the podcast, and I would love to absolutely share everything with Chai. Seeing that you guys have been in my life for a long time, although I'm not an active participant. It's good to have that kind of what's it called? Ronak is the word, right? Like that ambiance in the back that's always there. That no matter what, no matter what you're going through, you can always open up Chai, and there's always some kind of uh, light, enjoyable environment going on, right? And that's
Yes,
although we kind of try to like look at it. Oh, it's always there, but it can be helpful at times, especially like when you're
Agreed.
by yourself and you're like thinking about like, oh, hey, it's like especially during COVID, everyone's stuck at home. Mental health is
yep,
a priority these days. People are looking out for each other. It's one of the better things to have in life, And when you come
Yeah.
across people, it's one of those things people don't realize that this is a beautiful thing to have. It's a great thing to have. Uh, as people grow older, their friend circle starts getting smaller and smaller and
Hmm.
smaller. You have different priorities in life. You have kids, you have a family.
Yeah.
So it's honestly props to Dell, props to Z, props to everyone in Charge for keeping it going for what 11 years, 10 years. I'm not
How
exactly
long
sure.
has it been going?
The first group was made in 2013 in WhatsApp.
So wow,
So
so
yeah,
8 years now.
we're coming up to 8 years. It was May 2013. Yeah, that's why I don't want to delete it because
Wow.
I'm like, there's that that date, right? That's that tagline, and
Yeah.
you bring up a very good point for us, right? Like we're to something ridiculous. Like shout out to Omer, right? With his memes, the friendly banter, all the things we have. Like imagine if I hadn't gone to the same school, or we never met certain people at certain points, we would be in a very different group. We'd be a very different setting. Chai Shai wouldn't exist as it does today, or even at all, right? And as
Right.
I've said many times, in the past, that this was just, even in the previous podcast, right? It was just like this was just supposed to be a temporary thing, right? Because we had this hockey group and we kept talking about meeting up in there, and then people are like, no, we don't want to talk about meeting up in hockey group. This is only for hockey. So then I said, okay, let's make a group. Well, let's see how long it lasts. I'm just
Yeah.
surprised. There were times where I thought it was dead. I was like gonna delete it, right? But we're not gonna repeat all that stuff here. But yeah, it was just about you. But no, you bring up a really good point, man. Because having that circle and waking up to all these sometimes a couple of hundred messages. There are times where I'm like, oh my god, but there are times I'm like, oh man, this is gonna be good, right? Like, there's no way Jai Shai has like
Yeah.
158 messages and something about maybe sportsing, and which I know a lot about, or movies or something else, right? And you're right, man. And I'm glad that we can entertain you, and that's the whole point with this podcast as well, right? Because I mean, the original point was that hey, let's do something. We're stuck at home, and now we're trying to revamp everything, and we're hoping that we can get something back on the
Yeah.
road, right? But
Five
inshallah,
percent.
inshallah.
This is a good. It's just this is just meant to be a good conversation amongst friends. We record it, send it up to the other ones. Whoever wants to join, hey, nominate someone that if you feel they have interesting story to tell or
Yeah.
something to talk about. Let's chat about it
Yeah, we're
and
not tying
just provide
ourselves
some
down to any
entertainment.
schedules either, by the way, this
Yeah.
time
Oh yeah,
around.
yeah. Don't expect this once a week or once a month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just getting to this point, I wouldn't say it has been a challenge. It's just obviously there's priorities, right? Like Faraz is busy, I'm busy, Zishan's busy. We have like 10,000 things to do, right? But we don't want to tie ourselves down, and we're not looking to interview anybody. We're just looking for a conversation, as Zishan said, right? So we don't have to talk about
Yeah.
yourself. Even with Faraz, we just touch up on, and we're not going to repeat anything that's already in another media, right? We just want to talk about Faraz's, what's up, man? What's going on these days, right? And if any of you want to have a conversation, I don't know, you could come here talk about basketball. I'll just listen and I'll pretend like I know what you're talking about, uh, or movies or video games, right? Like that's the whole point, and we're gonna try to keep it enough that it teases you, and you like it, that you're engaged, but at the same time you're not bored thinking like it's too long or anything, right? And with that, right, we're just gonna like move towards like Faraz now, right? So just a little plugging for our future episode, right? But yeah, so like Faraz, man, like what's going on, man? Like I know there's a lot you talk about, a lot you unpack in the Interesting Humans podcast, but like these days, how are you? How's everything? Like, what's new in
What do
your
you?
life? Yeah, what are you up to?
Alhamdulillah, man. It's like I can't complain. I'm blessed. Mashallah, to be in a position like this where I have a stable life. I have a stable, physical, mental health. My parents, my family, everyone, they're healthy, mashallah. So, life's been great, and it's one of those things that you don't really appreciate much because you're so caught up in life. But now that everyone's like
Mhm.
uh, stuck at home and kind of introspecting these days. It's one of those things that I'm grateful for. But yeah, aside from that, work is going great. Uh, not much, not much of an extracurricular life, but inshallah, once everything gets back to normal, basketball will be back on the menu as well. Um,
Have you not played basketball in a while, or do you go practice
it's
somewhere?
it's no, it's been more than 10 months. I played soccer more recently than I played
Nice.
basketball. I played
Wow.
cricket more recently than I played
Cricket.
basketball.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, turn over to the dark side.
It's so
Uh,
funny because I saw him in the summer last year, right? He was just I just ran into him at a park, right? And I think I saw you near the basketball courts, and I'm like, this is so like it's all gelling together. Like this is for us. This is his natural habitat, right? And
Well,
that brings. Sorry, go ahead.
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
let's explore this, right?
yeah,
Let's explore this. We're talking about basketball. Hey, Faraz, like, what is it that brought you towards basketball? Why do you love basketball
yeah.
so much? What's inspired you? Let's
Yeah,
talk
like
about that for
you
a
know,
second.
you know, I'm such a huge sports fan, right? And I love sportsing with you guys, giving you all my analysis, right? Like, so yeah, tell me, like, how did your love for basketball develop, right? Like, why do they call you LeBron, right? Or is he your favorite player, like, or who's your favorite player and why?
yes, he is. I think everyone in Shai can attest to that, despite not knowing me too well. But
Yeah,
LeBron is my favorite player, and uh, well, it basically started off pretty organically when I was growing up in high school. I was just I love being involved, love being part of something, love being part of anything. So it was just, at times it was soccer, at times it was cricket, at times it was basketball. Alhamdulillah, I was able to get onto the school team, uh, went over to a few different city to compete. But then again, the talent level wasn't too high, so it's like anyone could pretty much get in as long as you had two hands, two feet.
Bronze can go schooling,
Yeah,
yo.
This this was in Saudi, right? Correct.
pardon me.
This was
Yeah,
in
this is
Saudi.
in
This was in
Saudi.
Saudi,
Yeah,
right?
nice,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. I spent. I don't know if people know this in China, but when I left Saudi, I spent a year in India as well. I studied
Oh,
there in
very
India as well.
interesting.
Yeah, I finished a year, and then I came over to Canada. Completely switched my career, and that's something I touch on in the podcast as well. How I switched over to a different field because I was just going through my rebellious phase, and when I got here, Zishan, all of his buddies, they're all in finance, in accounting,
Accounting,
and
yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. And I always thought that was super cool because you're wearing suits, and you're all big shots. And not that that was the only influence. I
Pretending
also
to be
wanted
big
to like.
shots.
I mean,
Yeah.
mashallah, you guys are big shots now, so
Oh
no more
man,
pretending.
average
Mm,
Joe, man.
Uh,
not even, man. Not even.
uh, but yeah, that's what, right. It's one of those things that I thought that okay, I'm just gonna do what go against the wave, I guess. You
Against
know.
the grain.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, and that's what I decided to move over to finance and do some kind of business studies. But yeah, I was in India. I was a part of the basketball team as well, and we actually ended up winning the inter
Oh
um,
wow.
LeBron
department
James, man.
basketball.
Yeah,
Yeah,
LeBron James
yeah.
in the
Yeah, look.
early days.
So yeah, one thing led to another. When I came here, I got a
Nice.
reality check. I found out that the basketball level is way higher than it was in India and in Saudi. So over here, I it was just uh, for my own fun, nothing serious, nothing professional.
And we used to I think we used to play amongst like our friends, right? I think maybe you even came to UTM sometimes and played with us over there. Um, but yeah, we just started off just playing for fun, and then you just went to a whole other level. I don't know. You started
It,
training and got really
yeah,
good.
no, it's honestly it's hard to think about it that way, but playing basketball with you guys is one of the things that probably got me more comfortable with everyone in Chai Chai, because I
Right.
remember playing it with everyone. I think even Ajmal played it at one point with us. Ajmal, Ahsan, Zish.
Yeah,
I
I
think
remember
Daud, you
Ashton
Back when he was a
played
playing.
young
too.
man. Back when Azul was a young man.
Every, you were there, yeah.
I kid you not.
Basil,
Everyone
did you
I
ever
was
play
there.
step over,
basketball with
yeah.
us?
But like me, I would come,
Yeah,
but I would just be like, no, I'm not part of this. I'll just watch. Because I honestly I could
nice.
never get in. I just never found the appeal. Like I'd play cricket with these guys. I played soccer. We would sometimes
hmm
play badminton.
Mhm.
I used to play squash as well in university. But basketball, for some reason, even when we're getting together, like for NBA finals or whatever, like I'll understand a little bit of stuff. Like I know what travel is. I don't know. I know what the foul is. This and that. Like I understand, but I just can't find the appeal to the game, right? Nothing against the game, right? I mean, I'm sure like there's thousands of fans, there's something that appeals to someone, right? But yeah, not me. Which kind of brings me to my next question. Would you say that this love for the sports, right? Did it define things for you in your life? Did it have like beyond just the sports thing? I'm using that word just beyond the sports element, right? Would you say there was
Mm.
like motivations that came out of this? It drove you to, obviously achieve things or kind of give you that push, that encouragement, or were there any defining moments that were derived from this, right? Like, even
Or
some of
was
the
it just a
challenges you
hobby
talk
that
about.
whatever?
Yeah, like did it have an impact, right? Because you talk about your challenges and stuff, and I'm curious because you're such a big fan, and I'm like, you see all these YouTube videos, right, of these people talk about, never giving up, pushing, and then you see these basketball player montages and everything. So I'm curious if that had an impact in your personal life, right? Like, and in your growth.
Yeah, that's a good question. Honestly, I know a lot of people know about this in Chai Chai as well. I wear hearing aids. I have a little bit of hearing impairment issue in both my ears. So because of that, without my hearing aids, I have some trouble, difficulty hearing things. So uh, when I was going through this phase of like kind of adjusting to this newfound, and just for the record, I didn't find out about my hearing aid issue until I got to Canada, until the moment I landed in Canada. So right before I left for Canada, in India and Saudi, I was with my family. I was with my parents, with my grandparents in India. I had no issues whatsoever. I was able
Yeah.
to listen to
Wow.
everything, interact with everyone. Life was completely normal. I never in my
Hmm.
wildest dreams would I thought I would have gotten this. When I landed here, when I first met Zishan, and Zishan knows this
Man,
too.
he
It's
was in
like,
my room, and I'm like, I'm talking to Faraz,
yes,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
go ahead.
and it was one of those things that really kind of freaked me out because I didn't realize the
Wow.
gravity of the situation. When I got to Zishan's place, Zishan was trying to talk to me. I was excited about meeting Zishan. I was like, okay, I'm going to ask him these questions because, this is my first time seeing a Canadian person. And
Yeah.
Zishan was someone,
Your
me and
childhood
Zishan,
friend. Yeah.
we went way back. Yeah.
Wow.
Like, and for me, it was like, oh, this person's completely different from all my other friends because although he's someone I knew, I haven't met him in a long time. So I was really
Yeah,
excited. I was looking forward
Yeah.
to meeting Zishan, get to know him, uh, and the first thing Zishan told me, like, oh, dinner's ready or something like that. I don't remember what it was. When I was at his place and I was just unpacking, he was like, "Dinner's ready." I'm like, "Sorry," like, "Dinner's ready." Excuse me, like, "Dinner's ready downstairs." And I'm like, "Okay." And for a second, I was kind of zoned out, like, what just happened? Why didn't I hear Zishan, and why couldn't I listen to whatever
Yeah.
he was saying? And that went on for quite some time. That went on for like a good few months, a good few years. I think it went on for
years.
about
Yeah.
two years or so
Hmm.
before it was Zishan himself who kind of pulled me aside and told me that, hey, I think you should get your hearing checked
Yeah.
out because I think you might actually have an issue. And I know
How
I'm
long
kind of
ago
going
was
off on a
this?
tangent, right?
How
Pardon
long
me.
ago was this again that you actually, when you landed, between the time that
This
you
is
landed and then the time you got it?
so Faraz landed in 2008, right? Is what I met you.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually ended up. Uh, so that was the first landing, and then I went back, and then I came back in 2009.
Hmm.
Okay.
And I ended up getting hearing aids. I think in 2012 or end of 2012, close to 2013.
It's funny because,
So it was.
sorry, yeah, I want you to continue. I just want to say that I think when I first met you, you didn't have hearing aids because I remember going to this
I
basketball game
did.
with you guys at ACC, and that's where I first met you,
Hmm.
right? And then when like a couple of
Yeah.
years later, when you came by and I saw the hearing aid, I was like, and the thing is, it's like one of those things where you don't know how the other person might feel. You may trigger some things. So I was quite surprised, and I didn't even know who to ask, right? Because like I never thought of like, but yeah, and it's really interesting. I had like no idea what the background on this was, and I know you go into the depths of this in the other podcast too. But man, like that must be like not to obviously go back to your old wounds, but like that I can't even relate obviously, but to land in a new country and then you know face that like first
Have
day where you're like, okay, maybe I'm
yeah,
just zoned out, but like no, this is real. This is happening. I don't know, man.
and yeah, and like you land, you can't hear anyone really. You're hearing, but it's just muffled. And I remember you telling me you're like the air pressure in my ear at that point, and at that point you thought,
Exactly.
okay,
That's what I thought, and that
yeah,
was just me denying it at that point.
yeah. So then what happened? I mean, so 20, like you ended up. I remember I was just like, yeah, just go get it checked out, and then you did, and so you were telling
And I
me the story. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, please go
so
ahead.
yeah, I did get it checked out. and it ended up being a serious issue. Like, this is a serious issue. The audiologist told me that you won't be able to hear without hearing aids. Like, you won't be able to hear optimally without hearing aids. And that's one of those things that when it hits you, it's kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think I have anything wrong with my ears.
Yeah, your denial.
And
Yeah.
I'm trying to. I'm denying it. I'm overcompensating it by, like, leaning in, or like lip reading, or just,
Wow.
Oh my
being
goodness.
extra close to the person, and like putting my ear up like this. And these are just like small little subconscious things that I'm doing, and I'm not realizing it. I'm just in denial. I'm like, no, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm just another normal kid, right? And it just comes down to one of those things that I want to be normal. I don't want to be extraordinary. I don't want to stand out in the crowd wearing these little things in my ear. People are gonna notice. People are gonna see it.
Hmm.
People are gonna judge, things like that. But Marshall, it's like, with you guys, I never felt that, and that's one of the things I noticed. Like, the day I got my hearing aids, I think the day after we went bowling. We
Okay.
went bowling, and then we ended up going to there's a Somalian place where we used to
Oh,
go.
Hamdi's.
Humvees. Yeah,
Hamdi's,
I
yeah,
yeah,
remember
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we went. I remember that so vividly. I don't remember any of our, like,
I don't-
random eating, yeah, any of our random lunches. But that day I remember so well because we went bowling, and I first got there. I said salam to everyone, and I think it was Umair who noticed it first. He's like, "Fraz, there's something coming out of your ears." I'm like, "No, it's just a hearing it," and he was kind of like, "Oh." He just kind of taken it back, and I didn't want him to, like, probe further because I was embarrassed about it too. So I just kind of like, "Oh yeah, yeah, cool, cool," and I just went on and said salam to everyone else, right? But at that time, I could see it in his eyes too. Like, he wanted to ask further. He wanted to be like, "Hey, like, when did you get that?" He wanted to ask more questions, just out of concern, out of
Yeah,
care
like, are
for,
you okay?
another.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
Yeah, like, is everything okay? But for me, that was too much. I didn't want more attention on this, more than I
Right.
already had, right? And it was one of those adjusting periods at that time. And there's still pictures of it on Facebook too. I'm smiling, I'm happy, everyone's good, and all you guys are there. We're all having a good time. We went to Humvees after, we ate, we had a good time, everything was normal. uh,
oh man.
but
Humvees
it's
and
just
their
that moment.
banana and mango juice refills. What was it? Something like that,
Banana
right?
and mango
Mango
juice. That's
juice,
what it
oh
is.
man. I haven't been there in a while, but their food used to be so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. And I can see, I mean, I'm sure at times you were taken back by this. I don't want to call it anything else. I think it's just a challenge, right? I would think that you would agree with me here, right? That this is just one of those things. It's a challenge. I know it must not have been easy, but then at some point you were like, you know what, it's okay. I'm gonna face it head on, and you did, man. Mashallah. And yeah, it's nothing
What
that
what what
it's
helped you? What helped you
yeah.
face it? Like what
That was
helped
So
you
exactly
get
my
through
question.
this?
Yes.
it's yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's one of these things. I know it's a cliche, but yeah, sports definitely did. It's like basketball, one of those things that kept me going. And back then I didn't realize it. Back then I just played it because I enjoyed it. I liked it. But playing pickup, going out there, meeting people, and since I wasn't able to wear my hearing aids while I was playing basketball, that was another challenge because people would interact with me during the game, and I'll be zoned out. I'd have trouble hearing them, and that's when I kind of learned to, like, open up and communicate, let them know, hey, if you need anything from me, let me know. If if I can't hear you, let me know. And if I don't acknowledge you, that means I didn't hear you. All
Yeah.
right.
You're not
Uh,
being
Mm,
rude. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah. So in a way, I'm forcing myself to come to terms with it as well by saying these things, by telling strangers that, hey, I have an issue. So if you have trouble interacting with me, it's not because there's miscommunication. It's just because I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
wow.
playing basketball again from a subconscious level, it made me feel like I'm still uh, a normal person. I'm still a guy. I'm playing with these people, random strangers. I'm playing basketball, and it kind of gave me that confidence that hey, I deserve to be here too. I deserve to have a normal life. I shouldn't feel
Yeah.
insecure about what I have, and
Right.
it's yeah, it's one of those things you don't really think about too much. It sounds cliche too, right? Oh, sports helped me overcome my struggles, but it really did. To
Yeah.
be competitive and to go out there and to compete with people. It's one of those things that makes you feel like, oh, I am normal. I deserve to be here. There's nothing wrong with me.
Nice.
Uh, uh,
Yeah.
there's nothing unusual about me.
Yeah,
Right.
props to
Yeah.
you,
No.
man.
No.
I completely agree, honestly, and and it's just like it comes back to the point that we're all on a path, right? We're all on a journey. We each have. Sometimes it kind of it gets very close to someone else's journey, but we all have our own journey. And one of the things I wanted to mention is that we're trying to introduce potentially themes or topics of discussion. And here, if I must say, like I wanted to name this episode with the resiliency theme, right? And not to and we're all resilient in some ways, right? So Faraz is here, he's unpacking a few things here, and I'm sure there's others who have different stories, or we don't have to talk about just this, right? But that's why we try to center, like, this is all questions on the fly, right? There's no script here, right? We just decided that, hey, Faraz had a really good story to tell. We heard this podcast, and that's what I wanted to just talk about a little bit right here. That this is a journey, right? That you're going through a journey, I'm going through a journey, Zishan, all our friends around the world, people are going through these journeys, right?
Hmm.
We have our goals and we are steps, and we create all these, but Allah obviously has the master plan, right? And what I want to touch upon is that now, having gone through all these, different things that you get into, right? What's one or a couple of things you wish that you had known about your journey? Not about your journey per se, but like something that you you think you would have known throughout your journey that would have, that you like, oh man, I wish I knew that could have, made me even stronger, or made it a little bit of a better experience, or anything. And it doesn't have to be from a challenging point of view. It can also be for something that was amazing, and you're like, oh man, I wish it was like this. It'd be even more amazing, right?
Sorry, 1 second, Dad. I'm just gonna put on the charger.
Yeah, no worries, man. Because we don't want you losing connection, so you please.
Right.
There we go.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So did you get my
So yeah.
question?
So that was saying. That was just saying. What's one or two pieces of advice that you wish that you could have given yourself, 10, 15 years ago or whatever, just on your journey of life. Just if you could go back in time and tell yourself something besides investing in Apple or Tesla or whatever,
Yeah.
what's something
GME
personally
to the
that
moon, yo.
I would say, growing up, like especially 10, 15 years ago, at that point, the main concern you have in your life is just to be accepted as a normal person, or just to be accepted as someone who's accepted by society, so to speak. And for me, I came from a different place. I even felt more out of place when all these things happened to me. Right, I was trying to form my own identity. Like, who am I? Am I kind of like this hybrid person who has some qualities of a Canadian person, some qualities of like a person who was born and brought up there. Uh, so it's one of those things that I still think about it this day, and I'm not saying like my identity is fully formed. I know who I am now. Obviously, every day we're still growing. We're still finding a bit more about ourselves, right? Uh,
Mhm.
but back then, when I first came here and when I first uh, found myself adjusting to this place, uh, the one thing that really was concerning me was that it was really hard for me to uh, adjust to the life here, in the sense, not just education, but also the type of work people do, the type of careers people have, the type of expectations people have. And it takes a little bit of time to get adjusted to that. One thing I would really want to tell myself is, you know don't let anyone else tell you how you should uh, create your own path. Don't let anyone else dictate that. Just because they're at the finish line, just because they're not even at the finish line, just because they finished before you, doesn't mean that you're any less than them, or doesn't mean that you're not normal, or you're unusual. You have something it makes you stand out. And it's I think a good quote from Game of Thrones came from this as well, from uh, uh, Tyrion, is saying that
Yeah.
the world is not. I'm just paraphrasing. I'm not really
Yeah.
good with
Yeah.
quotes.
Go for it.
So
Yeah.
uh, his point was that you wear your weakness as a shield, and the world is not gonna wear that for you. So it's one of those things that I've kind of learned to accept. It's like,
Yeah.
my
Tyrion
hearing
Lannister.
aid issue,
Yeah.
or Tyrion Lannister,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
um, and even if it's my hearing aid, even if it's my personality, or even if it's my the introverted nature, so to speak, I don't let it affect me. I don't let it bother me to the point where it's like,
Yeah.
hey, I don't belong here. I don't deserve to be here. No, I deserve to be here. I deserve to be a
Absolutely.
part of this. These are
Right.
my
Right.
friends. These are my family. And I'm gonna give them the same amount of respect that they give me.
Yeah. And
And
friends don't judge
when
you.
when
Yeah.
yeah, friends don't judge you. And uh, I want to, like, if I had this thinking at that time, I would have been more open to
Wow.
accepting my hearing aids, accepting everyone around me, except with me getting these hearing aids, because that was a difficult time for me at that time too. Getting adjusted to hearing aids, getting adjusted to life here,
Yeah.
getting adjusted to meeting new friends, and
Absolutely.
I was exposed to a different type of friend circle coming here. And mashallah, I'm very proud of everyone in Chai Chai. Very proud of you guys, and how you guys have handled yourself. Mashallah, it's like, at such an early age too, at such a young age, and it's something to be grateful for. And that's what I would say. It's like, just accept who you are, wear your weakness as a shield, and don't let the world wear that for you, because they're not going to wear it for you. You're going to have to
Agreed.
accept it on your own terms.
Yeah, no, agreed. You brought up some
Wow.
really interesting points, man, and thank you for sharing that, bro. Because you're right. We all joke around, right? We in Chai Chai, there's a lot of running gags and jokes. We all mean well, right? Because we want to hear from you, right? And that's what usually it is, whether it's picking on Talha, or saying hashtag M, or Mayman jokes, or this, whatever it may be, or Faraz doing something on his own, silent member, whatever. But
Yeah,
I'm in whatever, yeah.
anyways,
Silent
anyways,
members,
man,
all
it's
that
it,
stuff.
this
Ajmal,
reminds me of a
right.
it's
quote that I was talking to Zishan about, like, not too long ago, where I was like, you know what? So Robin Williams says, everyone you meet, it's a bit cliche, everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. Be kind always, right? So obviously it's all in good fun, right? And then that's what we're hoping for here. This is good fun, but also to give you a perspective of something you don't know about someone's life, right? And with that, I do have another question. I'll just segue into my next thought that's coming through. Is just, you talk about Jai Shah, you talk about our friend circle, and what I would say is I think we all helped each other. I would say each one of us brought something to the table that was, like that helped someone else, right? And I'm not going to get into the roles each one of us plays, but if you look at it, if you sit down with yourself and you realize that each one of these people in the group plays a role, right? They're good at something, and and they I guess personify certain elements of your life, and then you're like, yo, this guy, he's good at this, or like, I mean,
I can
we're
come to
not
this
gonna count.
person for that or something like that.
Correct. We're not going to count Zishan's current admin and ownership. So that is, that's a new thing. That's, I call it a Trump effect. But yeah, just a few words about Jai Shai overall, from your perspective, right? Like, I know you're quiet. I know you keep up because you mentioned it, right? But yeah, just a few words. Like, do you, would you say that there's something you prefer that, that we improved on,
What do
and
you
in
like about
general,
it?
right? And what do you like about it? Or what, what do you think, or what do you wish that we do more of?
um you know like, in a nutshell, I'd say it's one of the better things in life to have is this kind of friend circle that is understanding, that is accommodating. And it's really hard to grasp, but having this big of a friend circle and not have uh, clashes, or not have any kind of like tension
Wow.
going on, mashallah, it's a great thing to have. I've been a part of friend circle where there's like 3 friends, 4 friends, 5 friends, and you can see tension brewing up over small things, little things, petty things. And it's one of those things to be grateful for. Mashallah, we have like a massive group, and we have different individuals, different individuals have ideals, different stances on things, certain jokes, certain situations. But even then, alhamdulillah, everyone is accommodating, everyone is understanding, everyone is taking care of each other, looking out for each other. They're giving du'as, they're giving
Yeah.
good 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 tidings to people. It's like it's one of the better things to have in life, mashallah. And it's uh maybe back then I didn't realize that. Maybe back then, I was still thinking that it's one of these things that are just kind of short term. And not that that was a bad thing either. I
Yeah.
just assumed it was a short term thing. But
Yeah.
alhamdulillah for Chai Chai to withstand all that and to still stand strong with the original cast. It's a great thing. And the way I perceive Chai Chai, I always look at it as a positive thing in my life. Like if
Oh
ever
yeah, that's
if
true.
I'm having a rough day, I come back home and uh, I don't. I'll be honest, I don't get too much time to browse that much. But even when I do, I always keep up. I try to keep up. And when I do, it kind of gives me a good feeling. Some of the jokes are hilarious. Some of the memes, or anyone who, whenever
Yeah,
they share it, it's funny. I show it to my brother, my sister, my family, my friends. We all have a good laugh. So
yeah,
I do. It may not seem that I'm not participating, and right now talking about it, it's still putting it in perspective for me that I should kind of let people know that hey, that was funny, or just add like a few things like hey, that was funny,
Or
yeah.
whatever
LOL.
it was.
Contributes everything. Yeah,
Yeah, because I am laughing at it. I am having a good time because of that person who shared that meme, Omer or whoever it is, right? And it's a good thing to have. It's a really good thing to have in the background. If anything, the only thing I would want is for people to be able to share things that are more difficult to share, that are, to be able to talk about things
yeah,
that are not talked about often. It's a good thing to have. Life can be difficult. It's a struggle. Everyone's going through a struggle. Everyone's going through one thing or another, right? And to have that positive thing going on in the back, it's always good to have. But
yeah.
if anything, I just want it to be more open. And maybe it is just it's just some people need to take that initiative. I don't mind talking about it. Like right now, for me to open up and talk about it, this is my comfort zone because I am among my friends. I'm among my closest people, and
Exactly.
it's great to be able to sit here and talk about it. Have people who are concerned enough to reach out to me and say, "Hey, Faraz, are you okay? Do you want to talk about this? Can you open up? Can you share?" I would love to do that. I would, and if this makes other people in Chai Chai comfortable enough to share, to talk about things that
Hmm.
they're going
Yeah,
through, the struggles they're going through on a daily basis, feel free to do so. You're more than welcome to do so. You're more than welcome to talk about it. And I want it to be like an open platform so that people can talk about it. Not that it needs to be done or it
yeah.
needs to be like a heavy platform where people just
But
vent
it's an
everything,
option.
but
Yeah, but it's an option. I
it's
agree.
it's it is an option, and it can be a really good uh, uh, mm, kind of like a mental health. Uh, I don't want to say it helps with it, but I want to say that people can be open enough to talk about it,
Yeah,
right?
and no,
Yeah.
So
go ahead, Sishan. Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, and just touching upon that, like everyone has their journey, which I think is going to be one of the themes of this whole. Like,
100%.
everyone has a journey. In Chai Chai, it's very, happy-go-lucky. We're all having fun a lot of the times, but we don't know what's happening behind the scenes for a lot of
Yeah,
people. Anyone ever
absolutely.
has anything they want to share, you feel comfortable sharing, like,
Yeah,
please let us know. Reach out. We'll love to do a talk about it. And for me, what
yeah.
does Chai Chai mean? Chai Chai has just been a rock throughout these past, what, 8 years of my life. I've moved a few times, but so it's like, oh my gosh,
Always
how are you
stayed in
going to move?
touch. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It just keeps me grounded with my friends still. That I don't feel that, oh my gosh, I haven't seen my friends. I don't know you guys
yeah,
anymore. I know I left for a year and a half. I came back, and it felt like I didn't miss a beat because
yeah.
I was still in touch with everyone, and I like that. And the same way, even with us, I'm sure we don't hear from you often in the group, but when we do, it's not like, oh, who is this stranger? Oh my God, like
We joke
because
around,
of the group,
obviously, right?
yeah, yeah. Of course, we joke around, but because of the group, we're all able to um, stay in communication with each other and just stay in touch. And I like that we have that very good circle. I think that what you and I talk about this so often. Like, where else
I agree.
18 people in a chat that, well, it used to be more, but we've lost two members.
I I was talking to someone from my high school, and I was like, "Hey, do you keep in touch with some of the guys from high school?" I'm like, "Well, so Omer, I went to high school with him, right? So he couldn't even remember me, right? He's like, "Oh man, it's foggy, this and that." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, "Yeah, you go to university." He's like, "Honestly, even with university friends, I don't get to meet much. They're all busy with their lives, this and that." And I found that what I have is very unique, and obviously Chai Chai became this, and it's not mine, by the way. I don't take any credit for it. Yeah, I just literally created the group and dumped members in it. There were so many more members. There were very different people in the initial group, right? But to think that this is all a team effort, guys. Like if we, and at some point I would say Chai Chai dead. I know Talha would say Chai Chai dead. People would say Chai Chai dead tonight. And there was a phase where, it became really quiet. We wouldn't talk, like we weren't talking for days. But alhamdulillah, like that's the activity's back up. I remember doing this chart of seeing who talks more, there's who has a lot of messages, this, that. And I'll tell you, man, like this is a team effort, right? Like everybody had something to say, whether it's sports or movies or just pulling legs, and then Omer with his memes, right? Like everybody plays a role in this, right? Like and even now with Zishan, messing around, right? In Telegram, I know it's all good fun, right? But at the end of the day, it keeps things going, right? It's yeah, you deny, right? I know you're a good person at heart, man. But but it's a team effort, honestly, and I'm just happy because when I talk to other people they don't have this. They don't have a group of 20
Right.
people where majority of them are active and each one of them has this thing where there's like a really I wouldn't say completely tight knit, but it's still a good group of friends, right?
And
It's
a
really
safe
hard to
group,
have
a safe,
a safe group, yeah.
yeah.
It's really hard to have an 18 people or 19 people tight knit group because that's not physically possible. But it's the fact that hey, we're connected, right? Like even if we don't hear from Hamad in 2 days, we know we will hear him on the third day, or Hassan, right? With his boiled
Mhm.
chicken, memes, right? Yeah, and I'm glad that you brought up these things because and it really helps. This perspective really helps, right? Because alhamdulillah,
Yeah.
right? Like I'm glad that the group worked out and I've passed the reins over to Zishan now for his dictatorship. But anything else you want to add, Zishan?
No, I mean, I think, we've had a very good discussion. I think we've been chatting for a while. Um, some of the things I'm glad we talked about was, hey, we have a safe space here. If anyone
Yeah,
wants to chat, like, let's chat. I mean, I have stories I want to share. Dawood may have stories. Anybody else?
yeah,
And hey, we're also, if you guys want to chat about a movie or a
yeah. It doesn't have
TV
to be
show,
about your
something,
life. Yeah,
let's let's bring that onto the show
yeah.
and talk about it. How did you whoever watched Tenet? How was it? How did it make you
Yeah.
feel? Like,
What do
what
you
was
think
that like?
about,
Uh,
yeah, recent
what,
movies, TV shows, or what's going on in the world? Like Corona,
yeah.
how has it impacted you? God forbid, you've had,
Oh, that would be a great topic.
issues with work, or I know a lot of people were impacted by that, or just mental health, right? Like, hey, man, I'm bored, like I'm feeling alone, or God forbid, or hey, you know what, Chai, like you said, Chai has kept me going, or something that gets derived from that. Yeah, we don't have to have a specific topic, right? We're just having a conversation here. I agree. And
Hmm.
yeah, and then also like if you feel obviously with respect to someone's privacy and everything, if you feel there's something that somebody else could share, please do let us know. We'd love to then obviously reach out to the person, right? And even you, for us, like if you think that, hey, you know what, though, I really think, and we want to like we were starting with our friends, but it could be somebody else that is comfortable sharing, and you never know. Maybe we have an addition to Chai Chai, right? Like somebody else who has an interesting story that we just talk to, right? And get a different perspective because we obviously talk amongst each other, whatever our group is, right? But beyond that, there might be something interesting, like how your friend pulled you in on that podcast, and then here we are, we're finding something else about you. Same thing could happen for someone else, right? So having that, but yeah, again, there's no set schedule. There's no like, okay, we're gonna put this person. But yeah, just come on in, talk about, like I said, sports, movies, and Zishan said, right, like all anything. We're open for conversation.
Yeah. Well, so with that, I mean, I think we have a good conversation here.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed.
Enjoyed.
Inshallah, we'll do something else soon. No, we're not tying, and unfortunately, we're not tying ourselves to anything here. We will definitely do something else, but it all depends, right? If we have another interesting topic, right? Anything anybody wants to share or anybody wants to bring to the table, right, Zishan?
Correct. Yeah. Um, any last words from you, Fraz?
No, I just want to say that you guys have done an amazing job. It's a conscious effort to be this involved in your own friend circle and to be this understanding, accommodating with everyone else around. So great job on that. And whatever you guys are doing right now, just trying to set up this platform. People can come by, have an open discussion, open platform, talk about anything they want. It's a great initiative, solid initiative, as Stella might say.
Solid. That's a good plug. Nice.
Yeah, trust me, I keep track of all the inside jokes, even though there are way too many to be keep track of. I keep track of them. But yeah, great initiative. It's one of the things that we need in our lives. We need in our friend circle too. To be able to talk about certain things that are not easy to talk about. And I'm grateful that you guys gave me this platform too, to be able to talk about what I just did, and to talk about some of the more difficult, more sensitive things in life. So just alhamdulillah, thanks to you guys and everyone in Chai Chai for being this accommodating, being this understanding about this.
And
sure.
thanks again.
And yeah, exactly. Thank you for us for agreeing to come on and chat. And I want to let everyone else know that what we talked about here, even about Faraz's life, is maybe 1 to 5% of what's covered in the interesting podcast. Yeah. So message us. We'll give you the link for that. It's a very good listen. The interviewers were great. Faraz was great. So if you're interested, let us know. We'll send you the link and let us know your thoughts. We'll let Faraz know your thoughts, and
yeah, that's what this is for. Thanks again. We hope you enjoyed our discussion, and inshallah we'll do another one soon, time permitting, topic permitting, because we want to make sure we bring you guys something good, something that you look forward to, inshallah. And hopefully this time we can actually keep up. Not too set schedule, but let's see, whatever is best, inshallah.
As we mentioned, it's interesting. Just something you want to talk about. Something that happened in your life that was like, oh my gosh, at work they're working on this cool project. Hey, let's talk about it. So, yeah. All right, guys.
Yeah, with that, thank you very much. Take it easy.
Thank you.
Inshallah, we'll see you later. All right, Hafiz.